Good evening and welcome back to the St. Petersburg By Night podcasting network. Tonight, we present to you our Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle, Bloody Strings.
Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Bloody Strings, one of the many chronicles here at St. Pete by Night. I'm Devlin, your humble storyteller this evening, and these are my lovely players. Please introduce yourselves.
I'm Truckexe, and I am playing Drake Monahan, the brash Bahari Bruja.
Hi, I am Kendall the Elemental on TikTok, and I'll be playing Maggie Haywood the Kata.
Hello, I'm Lekar, and I am playing once again the well-dressed ne'er-do-well Toreador, Matthew Halden.
Hey, I'm Mew, and I'll be playing Sophie Clews, the malted milkshake Malkavian.
Sorry, that message threw me off. Okay. Thank you again. Now, last we left off was dealing with the aftermath of what happened with Sophie or not Sophie, Sarah. Apologies. Sophie helped try to clean up the mess. Everything prevented a frenzy from Bellatrix, and then everyone broke off in their own directions. Drake had an encounter with an unnamed individual who seemed to have some association with the Bahari. Made a little bit of a mess with some possible witnesses that did not get cleaned up, and then a couple of police officers doing their due diligence show up at the end of everything. Where we left everyone, time has passed a bit. A storm hanging over St. Pete. As a hurricane passes, much of the power in the city has been knocked out. A lot of people displaced from their homes. Sometime before the storm really picked up, a call goes out to all of the kindred within the Camarilla territory of St. Petersburg to make their way to the Delhi. And that is where we find ourselves this evening, with the Coterie arriving from whatever they might have been doing prior to receiving the notification, to seeing several people, ghoul and kindred alike, walking toward a museum in a very dark city. So, let's start with Matthew. You are approaching the Elysium. You see there are several kindred. Off in the distance, you see a couple of your coterie mates beginning to come from wherever it is they've come from. Give me a wits and awareness. And what is on Matthew's mind as you approach the building?
He is just... He's not used to things like this, seeing the city as dark as it is. It's kind of unsettling, but at the same time comfortable, because even though everything has been, loud and chaos since he's gotten here, there's something inside him that kind of feels at peace with this. And the whole time he's just clutching carefully at the bag he's got slung around his shoulders with the urn on him.
And what was the result of your roll?
I'll just keep it for now, too.
You notice most of your coterie. You see Drake, you see Maggie, you see Sophie, all coming from different directions. What you don't notice, again, Gray, who you haven't heard from, and you don't see Bellatrix.
Wondering if Bella is off somewhere doing her whip due diligence, and was hoping that he'd see Gray, but also hoping that if he doesn't see him, and he doesn't see Bella, if Bella's not doing her job, she's got him somewhere. Or at least trying to stay positive on that thought process.
Where do you go as you make your way toward the building? Do you approach any of your coterie, or do you seek anything out?
He'd go join up with whoever was closest to him to make sure see how they were doing, if they were okay, if they needed anything.
Closest would be Sophie. Sophie, before Matthew approaches you, what is on your mind as you approach the Delhi?
As Sophie is approaching the Dolly, she's mostly thinking about Duncan, who she hasn't heard from in a while, but she has her cufflinks that she's planning to give to him, and a book if she's able to find him. If he's not there, it might be very worrying, because she wants to know that he's safe.
As you are making your way, you also spot a few of your coterie members, but first is Matthew on his approach.
Sophie will sidle up to Matthew. Good evening, Mr. Halden.
Evening, Sophie. How are you doing?
Good. I'm glad to see that you managed to find your shirt again.
Yes. Thankfully, I didn't have to go far once that was over.
I do hope that we don't see any of those officers at the dolly. That might be a bit awkward.
Not sure if they'd recognize me with my clothes on.
Yes, well, it might be a good idea to let the rest of the group know, or at least give a bit of a description, so that they're aware, and if they see them, they'll know that they aren't real officers.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. I'd like to know who they were.
I do think it might be connected to your Louis, but I can't say that for sure.
It would make sense considering, but you also reminded me of something else I need to talk about to Edwin.
Good. I'm glad I can help.
You make a hell of an assistant.
You know, I worked almost as an assistant for about a year before things changed in my life. It was quite fun, actually. I did a good job.
What'd you do?
Oh, I was working on this little project. It was just a pile, really.
Fair enough, I suppose.
Give me what's an awareness rolls.
Three.
2.
Lekar, Matthew, as you're looking around, you see there are a lot of people starting to pour into the building. You notice there are a couple of Elysium security posted at the door. But you notice something, a couple of them, as they're kind of going in and out, making sure everybody's secure. There's a couple people that don't seem quite as uniform. Sophie, as you're watching, kind of looking around, you see a orange hat, like a very fine-looking bowler cap. You cannot see the person, they're behind a crowd, but the hat just kind of jumps out at you as they make their way into the building.
I suppose we should group up with the rest of our coterie then.
Absolutely. And he will kind of step next to her and put his arm out. Shall we?
Sophie will take his arm.
The two of you move toward the remaining members of your coterie, who are relatively close together. Maggie and Drake. What are on your minds as they approach?
She is looking at her phone, seeing if she has signal, and if she has any kind of like data or Wi-Fi. She's probably tracking Jarvis, because she definitely has some kind of tracking device on either his phone or his person. But if she comes close enough to Drake to notice him, she'll give him a nod, and then kind of give him a knowledge look. You know how to stab things, don't you?
Drake currently is his hands behind his head as he's walking, a small alto sax case resting behind his head. Oh yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
Excellent. Do you know how to use knives appropriately?
I'm better with a longer blade, but yeah, I can use knives.
Okay. When we're in a less public and more private setting, I have something I need to speak with you about.
By all means, Miss Haywood, I'm at your disposal.
Another nod. And she will, if there's a signal, she will shoot off a text to Pietro to let him know that they are evacuating and somewhere safe.
Receive an affirmation. As you receive your text, your group will converge just before the entrance of the building.
Matthew, Sophie, I trust that you managed to strap down your acquisitions.
Oh, there was some strapping, and it involved police officers.
What?
Yes, some strapping young lads. They came to the ascent, actually, so, our safe haven may not be so safe anymore. But luckily, Mr. Halden and I were on top of it, and we pretended to have been making love, and we were able to successfully get them to go away. But they left uniforms outside for some reason. That one still confuses me a little, why they got naked so quickly. Maybe they were excited. But they may not have actually been officers.
Yes, usually police officers don't strip outside of the door.
I mean, they could have just been following suit, considering I was quite lacking in that department myself. And yeah, thank you, Sophie, for getting right to the point. However, the most astounding and confusing part to me is, what the hell is that? And he's going to point at the case that Drake is carrying?
My saxophone.
You do know you're supposed to play those things, not swing those things, right?
Yeah? What do you think I'd do with it?
Holy shit, Coco's got culture.
Listen, jazz is a wonderful, wonderful sound. Okay? I just happen to like it, and I wanted to kind of stick my hands in it, so to speak. It's no big deal.
Drake, you and I actually may have something in common.
Oh, consider me honored, Miss Sophie.
While this doesn't make up for most of the other stuff, my tolerance of you has increased, I will admit.
He just raises an eyebrow and a smirk.
Be careful, Maggie. You might have a stroke if you keep that up.
I'm pretty sure it's already happening.
Make sure to let any of us know if you start smelling toast.
At that point, one of the guards kind of approach. I hate to push you along, but we do need to get the doors closed as soon as we can.
Of course.
Drake will turn. Yeah, I do need y'all to check the case and make so y'all feel safe with me taking it in.
They take the case from you. They check it. When they find nothing but a saxophone, they put it back in your possession.
Thank you kindly.
Try not to play it too much. And they let you into the building. As you step in, this place is pretty crowded. People have started kind of disperse onto other levels, moving about. You see there are a lot of guards. You see there are some notable individuals. You see Edwin kind of moving about. You spot Victor Adams. A couple people you haven't met. As they're kind of moving through, you see there's also a lot of ghouls here. There are a lot of vessels here. And there are a lot of blood bags that seem to be put just in the event that somebody might need them. The scene is still yours, or if you wish to advance on something, you are welcome to.
Maggie will look to them and then over to where Victor is. Should we prod him to see if he brought Gray here?
Yes, I don't see Gray. It's a little concerning to see Victor here without him.
Well, to be fair, if Gray is one of his projects, they're not exactly going to share those projects outside the garden.
I imagine these circumstances are different considering the storm. But she kind of looks to Drake and Matthew. I have no experience speaking with this man. Do you, either of you, recommend speaking with him about this matter in a public avenue?
You had me at prod Victor, but I had a whole different scenario playing in my head when you said that. I hate to admit it, but Drake is right. If there's anything going on with him and Gray, he's not going to talk about it. And if we're not careful, any implications might come back to bite us in the ass.
Then I'm gonna go find a space for us to occupy, or at least habitate. I will. She kind of just makes a gesture. If y'all need to go socialize, you may. I'm going to go find a place to sit.
Maggie, if you happen to see Duncan, let me know.
Just start looking around. What does Duncan look like again? He is that, oh yes, your brother is the twinkish one. Understood. And she will kind of glance around as she's just walking toward like an emptier space in the dolly.
Both of you, don't see Duncan anywhere. Sophie, as you are looking around for Duncan, though, you do see that orange hat again. And now you can kind of see the face wearing it. Very well-trimmed, kind of silver beard. Trimmed, grayish silver brow. Warmly smiling at you as your glance passes each other. Holds for a moment. When somebody bumps into you for a moment, for just a split second, you turn, you see one security guard's moving something. Terribly sorry, if you'll excuse us. They go to move around you, and when you look back, he's no longer there.
Has Sophie seen this face before?
It has been a very long time. It was one of the last faces you saw.
Sophie, who was holding her purse up, kind of slumps it down her arm, and she turns to the rest of the coterie, very almost skittish looking, very startled in a way. Perhaps I should go. This shelter, it doesn't seem very safe.
Very cool look at Maggie with an raised eyebrow.
Should we see if Edwin will allow us into a more private section of the Daldi?
Oh, that would be wonderful. I don't know if he would do that, because we are not special.
We are special. We are his
Perhaps.
personal coterie.
And we've done enough for him. I think he owes us at least that.
Or maybe I'll just go to the estate. Brigitte and
No.
Chadwick are
No.
they're down in Aruba for the storm, so the whole
Sophie.
house is empty.
Sophie.
I could go there.
Sophie.
It's a very old house, very sturdy.
Sophie.
It's never come down in 300 years.
Miss Clews, a moment, please.
You
Yes.
are. This is a Cat 5 hurricane. You are not going back to a rickety old house.
Is it on a scale of 1 to 10? Because that's not so bad.
1 to 5.
I mean, we don't breathe.
We
It's
do not need to breathe to be affected by air. And any other projectiles that it has. Sophie, we will talk when we are in a more private environment within this building. But we are not letting you leave to hide out in another house. Okay?
I mean, how bad could it? It's just a bit of
Miss
water,
Clews,
right?
I can actually answer this. I was in Vietnam during monsoon season. Those weren't as powerful as this is supposed to be, and those things tore buildings apart. Not to mention the flood waters were so strong that pulled people out from near inland into the nearby Gulf. These are not things even I play with.
Maggie's going to kind of split over and go over to find Edwin to see about staying in one of the private reinforced rooms.
Absolutely. You find Edwin. You've known Edwin off and on for a few months now. He is not an incredibly social creature. So you can tell he is very put out by this. But he's going around and he is checking in on people, making sure they're well. And then he sees you, and there's almost a sense of relief. Miss Haywood, How, is there something I can do for you?
Actually, there is. Myself and my coterie were wondering if we could camp down in one of the private meeting rooms of the sort within the Dali, rather than. She kind of looks around at the accumulating crowd and then back at him.
Is something the matter?
There may be.
I see.
It is. I think I'm fairly certain it's personal in nature.
He kind of looks about and then he kind of leans in a little bit. How personal is this? Not necessarily that you have to tell me, but details. But your friend is aware that he's not to use disciplines within the vicinity, correct?
She'll kind of whisper. Malkavian person.
Then my following question still stands.
They will not use any disciplines within the vicinity.
Very well. I will... yes. Gather your associates and meet me outside my office. I'll provide you a space to operate from.
Thank you.
And he returns doing his rounds.
Maggie will return to the group. He said we can meet him outside of his office. He will have a private space for us to habitate.
Oh, good. Wonderful. Thank you, Maggie, darling. That is wonderful news.
See, sweetheart, you had nothing to worry about.
Yes, I no longer believe I will have a bout of hysteria. Everything will be fine.
Of course. She'll start walking toward the office with them.
You start heading toward the office. If everybody wishes... No, I think specifically... Matthew and Drake. As you're walking, Drake, you kind of keeping an eye on everybody, particularly Victor's space throughout this area. He seems to be... You've seen him in social settings, and he does seem rather extroverted. He seems quite the opposite at this time. He's wearing very simple clothing, and he seems to be kind of keeping to himself. But you do make eye contact as you step out of the main floor, heading back toward the offices. Matthew, as you're walking, you notice there are blood vessels throughout the space in case somebody needs blood. As you are walking, though, you see there are a couple. While most of the vessels are kind of just very diligently standing in place, waiting for someone to approach them if need be, walking around, offering any kind of varied services, something, maybe a blood bag or things of that nature. There are a couple that seem to be much more present. They seem to be scanning the room much more than the others as you step off of the main floor.
Interesting.
Tell me something, pretty boy. When one of yours that likes to show off endlessly, just suddenly surrounded by every type of audience he could want, suddenly seems to be like the wilted flower in the flower bed, that's a bit odd, yeah?
I mean, yeah. But then again, You're talking to one who actively made it his whole personality to avoid people. So, who's to say? Why? Who are we talking about?
Yeah, well, Victor doesn't like to tip and tuck like you do.
Very interesting. Huh. Could be something, could be nothing.
Possibly. Figured you'd at least like to know. And that whole time, he's just giving a confident smirk at Victor from across the room as they're walking away.
He doesn't seem to respond, just watches you for a moment, and then returns back to watching.
Oh. Not even rising to a bit of a challenge either. Well, I think suffice to say, there's some vines we haven't accounted for.
You make your way through the kind of more administrative corridors until finally you make your way outside Edwin's office. A few minutes pass before he meets up with you. I understand that you needed a secure space. This place is off limits, usually except for particular individuals, like the Primogen or myself, or anyone of that effect. But you do work directly with me, so I think I can bend that rule for this occasion. Is everything okay? And not seeing any other Malkavians in the group, turns towards Sophie.
Yes, everything is fine.
Right. Very well. How secure are you? Are you planning on staying away from the entire of the space outside, or?
I can't imagine all of us are, but this will likely be where we will be taking our day sleep.
Yes, I think our coterie is not bound to this room. None of you have to stay here. I likely will, but that is my own choice, and I would not thrust that upon any of my fellow colleagues.
Very well.
We will not be bringing any other guests back here.
I expected as much. I'll allow you to use my office then. I'd offer the conference room, but the Primogen are mostly operating out of that space. And he opens up the office door. You see his desk has been moved out of the area. You see there is the... Well, that's pretty much all that there was to this room. Other than the bookshelf itself, this place is pretty emptied out. Is there any accommodations that you need brought here?
Actually, Edwin, have you heard from Duncan recently?
I reached out to him as I did you all, but I did not get a response. But a lot of the signals we're receiving here are a little spotty at best, and he's a little further up north. I'm sure he's fine though. There are a couple spaces where people can be called in the neutral zone, as well as a little further north if need be. I don't know about further. You have to go quite a bit north, I suppose, but... Or he might have taken refuge in one of the kind refuges.
Don't
Thank
worry.
you so much for
We'll
letting
find him.
us occupy this. And
No, of course.
I'm sure there's a way to track him.
I'm sure he'll turn up. He is a very resourceful individual. I'll let you guys get settled in. Miss Haywood, if I may speak with you for a moment.
Of course.
And Mr. Kane, when you have a moment, I needed to discuss something with you.
Well, yes, I suppose you can come out as well. The two of you step outside. He leaves Sophie and Drake in the office. He steps outside with the two of you. Well, to start off with, I did get everything prepared at the location as requested. However, with the storm escalating in strength as rapidly as it has, we may have to reconsider venue, but we won't know until after it passes.
Absolutely. I will. I'm sure they will be understandable of the weather of this place. They've been here longer than I have.
Have they made accommodations?
To kind of tilt her head and think about it, I'm fairly certain that they have, but she kind of glances at her phone. Does she have a signal?
Yes, it has been a little in and out, but you do have signal at the moment.
I can call them if you would like me to.
I simply wish to know if they were well. I know they're in the neutral zone, and I did extend an invitation. I obviously don't have the contacts of your guest, but I did extend the invitation to the Hakata, the Beaumonts, but I have not heard anything back, so I figured I'd ask you. But my concern is the people here in the Camarade tonight, so if you don't have any questions, I just wanted to give you an update.
I appreciate that. And Maggie will step away to make a phone call.
Mr. Holden, what seems to be the concern?
Okay, now this is for Mew. Did she describe exactly what she saw when with the necklaces when Matt used awe? I forget.
She did. She described it as similar to the necklaces that Edwin's guards have.
Okay. The other night, we had an incident that, of course, we dealt with, and as me and Sophie had made our way back to our space, we had a couple of police officers show up at our door. Now, that being bad enough, when I attempted to sway them, Miss Clews noticed that they wore necklaces similar to things you've given away. Apparently they reacted when I attempted to do this. That wasn't the weird part. It was them leaving their clothes in front of our door. Afterwards, that was the astounding part. But still, the necklace thing, I thought should be brought to your attention, mostly out of my curiosity.
They left their clothes?
Most of their uniforms were at our front door when they left. Yes.
Badges at all?
Badges, jackets. Yes.
Matthew, it sounds like your haven's been compromised.
That was my
Did
assumption.
you-
Yes.
I thought you all said that you had dealt with your Nick-related exposure.
Honestly, not sure if that's connected or not. This could be a completely different thing.
A whole other hunter cell is currently targeting your coterie?
I honestly, with our track record, Mr. Kane, who's to say?
That is alarming. And you have no clue as to who these people are?
Not a one.
Okay.
And also, the takeout we have wandering around this space, are they always so attentive?
I usually like them to go around and make sure everyone is comfortable.
Okay. You have...
Is something...
There were a few I noticed that were extremely eager to please.
I'll see. Would you be able to identify them?
I believe so.
Okay. One of my associates, you should find out kind of moving about, making sure everyone's behaving. You've already met them, Kyle Mactier. Have let them know what you've seen and point them out so that he can see if he can glean anything.
Excellent.
Thank you for bringing this to my attention.
Of course. You're doing us a service. It was only fair that I return the favor.
Is there anything else?
Thankfully not. That was about it.
In regard to your police matter, obviously we don't have a firm confirmation that they are indeed hunters, but the fact that they clearly showed up to your establishment in guises and seem to be bearing some kind of protective artifacts seems possible. That or you have angered a very resourceful kindred.
Again, this
Either way.
track record could be either way.
True. I do have to make note of this. But I might not have to submit those notes immediately if it is resolved quickly.
Well, once we're able to go out and about with some decent safety, we will look into it.
Very well. He straightens back up, I will let you get your affairs in order. Seek out Kendall when you have the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
And he returns to the gathering.
And
Before... Go ahead.
I was going to say, then he would just make his way back once that was over.
Before the two of them return, what Drake and Sophie are alone in the office. As for the room, it's like a 20 by 30 foot room. The desk usually takes up a large chunk of it, but there is the large bookshelf, and that's all that's in this room right now.
Well, something had you spooked, little lady. What was up?
Oh. You wouldn't happen to have brought your bandolier, did you? Is it hidden under your jacket?
Even I know that weapons aren't allowed in Elysium. Unfortunately, I couldn't have, but I can do plenty with my fists. Trust me.
Right. Well, there's a kindred in an orange hat. If he enters this room, please punch his heart out. That would be fine, actually.
My, this must be someone. If you're willing to see them dead.
Well, he's a very bad man. Very, very bad shadow man.
Okay. Very bad orange wearing shadow man. I'll make sure to make him pay his dues. And don't
Yes.
worry. When y'all lay down, I don't quite sleep when everyone else does. I get a bit of extra time, let's say. So I'll be watching over y'all after y'all lay down for a bit myself, if that helps.
That does help greatly. Yes, he's very bad. Not as scary as the lamp man, but maybe more.
Lamp man. Okay.
Yes.
Drake will lean down, unclip the case. I've got some slow jazz if you'd like to listen some, see if that helps. It's up to you.
Oh, that would really be just wonderful.
And Drake will quickly set up his alto and let's see. Yeah, he'll play some Nat King. He'll play some Nat King Cole.
Thank you.
Just nods, still playing. At least until everyone gets back.
You guys can hear saxophone being played from the other side of the door while you're having a conversation with Edwin. Before long, the other two return to the room.
He stops so everyone can talk.
Maggie
Y'all get what you
will-
need done?
Would Maggie have been able to make the call before coming back into the room, or would she still be making that call?
Oh, yes, you wanted to make a call. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. She is just calling the home itself because she figures that if whoever picks up will be able to give her enough information.
The phone rings for a few moments before it does pick up. I do apologize, but due to the storm approaching, our services will not be available until the storm passes. We are presently in the process of moving to a safer location. Would you like to schedule an appointment?
No, I appreciate that. I am Miss Lewis. I have had appointments with the owners before. I was just assuring that they we're in the process of evacuating or finding a safe place to stay in place.
Ah, Miss Lewis. Of course. Yeah, we are currently in the process of trying to move from one point to the other. Unfortunately, we have a couple of very stubborn guests. But if we can get them to move soon, we will be moved to a less noisy location.
I see. Is there any way that I can assist from where I am as to encourage them to move?
Well, they outright refused to uh, visit down south. So we will be taking a trip a little further up north, ideally out of town if possible. But as if we can get them to agree to move at all, they are seemingly very confident in the integrity of the building they're currently in.
That is a surprising amount of confidence for a building that they've only been in for a couple of days.
Agreed. Quite obstinate. I will alert the masters to your concern. Is there anything else I can do for you?
I'll let them to know that I have made the arrangements for the meeting place. It may be up in the air considering the nature of the storm.
That was all well and good. That we expected that was a possibility. I don't think anyone anticipated this to escalate quite as quickly as it did. But if that will be all, we do still have some packing and negotiating to do. So thank you very much for your concern.
Good luck.
You as well.
And have a good night. She will hang up.
He hops off the phone.
And she will head back into the office.
Now you're good. Everybody's in there.
And once the doors close behind her, she will look over to Sophie. Alright. We are more or less in private as we will be within this building. What is going on?
It's the Shadow Man, and if he's here, the Lamp Man is probably here too. He's not good.
There's a look of confusion, and then a nod. Right.
Keep an eye out for apparently orange clothing.
Orange
Yes,
clothing.
he had an orange bowler's hat. It's very, don't know why he would wear orange, but he pops out of the shadows. Orange is very noticeable though, but he's usually a shadow man, and the lamp man hides behind lampposts, which doesn't sound very scary, but it is because you see part of his silhouette, and then while you're looking at the lamp man, the shadow man puts you in a box, and it's not good. Do you think one of these chairs, if you came in, we could break it for steaks? Or is it one of those terrible, cheap new constructions that they're barely wood at all?
I'm thinking it would still do the job, but we'll save that as a worst case scenario, and only if absolutely necessary. Edwin's doing us a favor. We would hate to damage the stuff he's responsible for and get on his bad side.
Well, if the orange shadow man comes in here, it is necessary.
Well, I don't disagree. we will deal with that if they get past Edwin and his crew. And if for no other reason than atrocious fashion sense. But
Can kindred who are very shadowy, can they get under door jams? Can they turn into shadows?
Sometimes. Maggie will kind of look around. Are there any, like, larger shadows cast in the room?
This room is very dimly lit. Yeah, there are places where large shadows will cast in this room right now.
There are some that are skilled in traveling through shadow, but it involves very heavy investment in such gifts.
All right. Sophie will take off. She has a silk scarf, and she starts jamming it into the bottom of the door. Yes. Well, that should do it. We're safe in here. Yes. Even though this is slightly box-like, but it's not a box. We're fine. We're fine.
We will make it through the storm, Sophie, and you will get back to your bookshop once this is all over. Maggie will find a place to sit and pull out her sketchbook and kind of glance around to everyone else. I don't really have any particular plans on socializing. I can stay in here with Sophie if you two would like to go and talk to others.
Yeah, the little lady's pretty scared. Y'all have me around to protect y'all. It seems like the right place to be is here.
And how about this? Because now, okay, I will admit that Mr. Monahan here is full of surprises. Why not we just make sure that we get Sophie to a place where she's relaxed and comfortable, and then me and Drake will peruse the guests in case anything else.
Relaxed.
Drake will shrug.
As relaxed as you can be. We're not here to make you uncomfortable. We're here to make everyone else uncomfortable.
We picked this spot so you would be a little more at ease.
Like I said, I'm relaxed. Mr. Halden, if you desire to speak to other people, you are free to do so. I'm fine. I'm fine.
You are a rubber band 1/4 inch pulled back away from snapping. I read people, Sophie. You are beyond not relaxed. As they like to say, you can't con a con man.
Speaking of cons, If nothing else, then to take our minds off of the talking about stress, because stress tends to build more stress. You had spoken that we were going to go shopping for dresses and the like. What sort of thing would you be looking for this kind of ball, Sophie?
Oh, I suppose something classy, simple, timeless. If, if we still intend to go to the ball.
I don't know, Matthew. Do you still want to humiliate this rival of yours in front of a large crowd?
I'm sorry. Was I replaced with another person who's not out of their mind? Of course.
Maggie will just make a gesture over to Matthew and look over at Sophie.
Well, Mr. Halden, do you absolutely need my help there? I'm sure everything will go smoothly. You'll pull it off fine, even if I'm not there. I don't think I need to go to something like that. I would just get in the way.
Sophie, I would never ask any of you to do something you don't want to do. I'm asking if you'll help me. Not because I think I can't do it alone. I just think it would be safer for me if I had others watching my back.
True. All right. I will help. Because your safety is important. I've grown fond of some of you. Drake, I don't know you that well, but I'm sure with time I will grow fondness for your jazz. You were playing fairly competently, so that's good. Perhaps after that, maybe I'll take some traveling. I have wanted to travel for a while, so it would be maybe a good idea. We shall see.
Well, I think it's worth saying too. It's like we need you there to admonish me if I accidentally punch a heart out.
Damn it, he's right.
Please don't do that again.
Yes,
I
don't
have
do that again.
no. Speaking of,
Unless it's the man with the orange hat, then feel free.
Speaking of Miss Haywood, I let Miss Clews know something that I figure I might as well let y'all know, since you see y'all are the more strategic of the bunch. When y'all go down for the sun, I won't be joining you, not immediately. I give or take an hour both ways. I generally can push that off. So I'll be keeping watch, at least for that, especially considering the police officer incident. I figured it's a good idea, even if this is Elysium.
How?
Well, you remember when you looked at me? In that oh so special way some of y'all can?
Breathe.
Kind of like, yeah, it's kind of tied to that.
That sounds like it would be a detriment to your health.
As long as I'm, not in the sun when it's out. Doesn't last long, as I said, about an hour either way, but at least I can offer some extra protection. My concern is not confusing possibly Edwin's guards with a possible problem.
Is there a potential problem with Edwin's guards?
I don't know. I just think that considering y'all's safe haven was apparently compromised by stripper cops, some caution seems prudent, and I am trying to be more subtle and talk through instead of doing first.
Right. Okay. And we'll take your word for it. By the way, what were these stripper cops asking about?
An incident that occurred as we were making our way back.
They knew you were making your way back specifically?
Yes, it was all very suspicious. They came right to our door and saw that we had come in about 10 minutes before, so it was not good.
I don't know about y'all, but I've never heard of Kind PD being that efficient.
Boston ain't that efficient.
Don't even get me started about Albuquerque.
But yes,
You can
not
hear-
sure if it's... Oh,
You're good. As at this moment, you can begin to hear things are. You hear things beginning to pick up outside. You can hear the howling winds. You can hear the heavy rain. You also hear what sounds to be a rather large amount of glass shattering, seemingly above.
Maggie, is this typical? Or should we be concerned?
Maggie would kind of glance up. His office is below the regular dolly, right? Or is it inside of the dolly?
It is inside of the dolly, but he does have a access point that you've seen him use from behind the bookshelf that he can use to go lower.
Okay. Is there an upper floor to the dolly? I can't quite remember.
Yeah, there are a couple floors. Yeah, there are a couple floors.
They may not have been able to lock down the entire museum. There are windows on the upper floors.
there's one hell of a party going on up there.
Maggie, give me
Could be
wisdom
both.
awareness.
Can I activate my heightened senses?
Certainly.
Five.
Hidden within the howling winds, you hear that long, mournful moan. that you've been hearing on and off for a few weeks.
Does it seem to be angling to the upstairs?
It just seems to be outside, hidden within the storm.
That makes sense. Maggie's going to look around, make sure they're the only ones in the room, and then she's going to activate Oblivion Sight.
There are so many shadows in this room that as your Oblivion Sight activates, no light is cast on the wall. The hurricane has removed the wardings. And we're going to go on a quick break. We will be right back. Thank you for tagging along so far.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaborations with our partnered vendors: Wolfpack Dice, Ember Fox Dice, Dragon Ink Dice, Farrah the Bard, Champs Tramps, Pantry Artista, Chromatic Creations. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stbynight.com. The official theme song for St. Petersburg by Night is Vampire by Faith and Failure. You can find them at faithandfailure.com. You can follow St. P by Night on all socials with the hashtag St. P by Night. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at ko-fi.com/St. P by Night to help keep the stories rolling.
Welcome back. So last we left off, our coterie had scrolled away to Edwin's office. They spoke about the reason they are being placed here at the moment due to something seemingly from Sophie's past. When suddenly they heard the storm picking up. You heard a crash from outside the room, above you in some capacity, and about this point is when Maggie started hearing the howling of whatever entity it was she communicated with in her mortuary. Once activating her sight and looked about, she found that the spirits had made their way into Elysium. The hurricane had opened the way. We will pick up from there. You are in the room.
Maggie's eyes have gone pitch black and remain that way as she looks around. The warding's been broken.
So we should be concerned?
It was fending off a number of spirits and shades from trying to get in. Last I looked. I need to go. She's already starting to move.
As you are heading toward the door, you see that gaunt figure that stands over Sophie, hovering over her again. Its mouth gaped open, but much lower than it should be able to extend, as it seems to be hovering over her. And then you watch as the shadows seem to snatch around it, dragging them away from Sophie into the wall, and no longer visible.
You are safe in here. Edwin seems to have safeguards.
Well, that's good.
I will, these shadows are shades that are crawling on these walls. The ones you've been seeing through town.
Mm-hmm. And they seem to be protective, or are they trying to absorb the spirits that are attached to other people?
You are unsure. But you do no longer see the one that was attached to Sophie.
Can I activate the binding fetter on her to see if she is still a fetter?
Go for it. Just a moment.
Boots it oblivion. Yeah, it's wits and oblivion.
Yes.
I spent a willpower. 3 successes.
There's a moment when you are looking at Sophie. You couldn't spot it well before, but there almost seems to be something that was drawing your attention to the purse she is clutching so firmly. But in this moment, you watch as that drawn sensation, the thing that alerts you to what connects the dead to the plane of the living, fades and ceases to be.
I see. We will talk about this when it is safer. I need to go speak with Edwin.
Is there anything we can do to help? Do you need salt?
Salt and the silver are very good deterrents for spirits in an overall sense. Maggie will look back at Matt because he was there when she was scanning the rest of the Coterie. The shades are within Elysium, and they seem to be consuming attachments.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing at this point?
Likely long-term bad. I don't know the source of where all of this is going to yet. I'm going to see if Edwin requires any assistance with reinforcing the, whatever kind of barrier he's going to be having to put up during this time of the storm since it's broken through the warding.
Would you like assistance?
I am not sure how I can ask any of you for assistance, but if you would like to accompany me, you are more than welcome. Sophie, however, I would recommend you staying in here.
That's no problem by me.
You don't seem to have your attachments anymore.
Well, that's a good thing, right? It scared you before, and books and bourbon seemed to try to frighten you.
It may be good for now.
How about this? Take Drake with you, just in case people start to get uppity and need some stern talking to. Nothing over the top, though, Drake. And I'll stick here with Sophie.
As little as a mouse in a barn.
Maggie will nod and continue out with Drake.
We'll start with Maggie and Drake as you step out into the more public area where everyone is at. You see Edwin is kind of addressing everybody. There's been some slight structural damage to the dome, but we do have storm doors in place. We'll just stay out of that particular area. You should be safe and relatively dry. Just everything is fine. This place is still more than strong enough to withstand the storm. Just remain calm. And he continues kind of moving about. You see some people seem to be a little on edge. Mostly the ghouls, the kindred, don't seem to care much about it.
Maggie will try to catch Edwin's eye as they are maneuvering around here.
He nods and kind of makes his way over to you. Is something wrong with do you need something brought to the office?
She will kind of drop her voice to very soft tone. The warding has dropped.
You mean the wardings that you may have placed?
There are shades within Elysium.
And that Tremere have left. You are certain?
I know you asked us not to, but I felt the need to check.
We'll just keep that part quiet. So, you've... He sits there for a minute. I haven't seen Alex in months. I don't know if there's anything he could do about this.
Are you not Tremere?
I'm afraid blood sorcery was not my mastery. I leaned more into the auspices.
See,
But
we may need to lean more into practical prevention then,
agreed.
even if it is quite temporary. I did not bring my instruments of practice with me, but I assume there may be some sort of breakthrough or storm salt.
Perhaps. There were significant provisions left over from the mage incursion. We might be able to round up some of those. What is it you would need?
I would need salt, and if these continue their own incursions, we may need to take more drastic measures.
Does it matter that they are already in the vicinity?
It would help in trapping them in within the areas that they are already in. For example, there seem to be some crawling in the walls of your office.
I see. Very well. You still have the ability active?
Yes.
They're everywhere.
They are in.
Okay. And you don't know what is causing these?
I am not sure the cause. I've been a little busy cleaning to actually be able to do any research.
Very well. And he looks toward Drake. What are you doing?
Now I'm making sure the esteemed Miss Haywood is nice and safe.
Very well. I'm going to procure a few things. If they are already inside, you can see. Give me what's an insight.
Okay. That'll be 6 successes with a critical.
Edwin looks mortified. He thought after the mages this would be pretty much taken care of. And he felt that he was probably in the one spot that this shouldn't be a concern. And in this moment, you see him. No, you're good. You see him kind of regretting having to lean on you so much for what to do.
This warding, it was all done on the outside.
There was warding done on the outside. I personally don't know if Alex targeted any particular locations within. But I did have another associate of ours work on the space downstairs. That should be safe from the storm.
I see.
Okay.
Maggie will kind of give him a nod to basically start getting his valuables and who he thinks he should take downstairs. Maggie's going to see if she can start, like, seeing why all the shades have gathered within the Elysium now.
Give me an intelligence and investigation.
I'm gonna blood search. That'll be 6 successes. I spent willpower.
You go looking around, you see the uniform walking, some kind of crawling up the wall like ants. All in a very kind of fluid but also shambled motion. And you see other instances of things being taken, but nothing necessarily being taken from Kindred. You've now witnessed Kindred losing something clinging to them, but was that clinging to them, or was it clinging to something they had? But you are seeing these shades occasionally step out and almost look like they hug somebody, like someone's ghoul. You watch as this young, kind of, looks like he's probably in his like mid-20s, wearing some pretty casual clothing, kind of sitting there. You can tell that this is not a kindred, probably a ghoul. Suddenly, kind of have like this sense of concern, but like laughing it off. But then you see this moment of like this shade seems to embrace them, and they just kind of slowly shift to getting quiet and just kind of watching everybody as any kind of general consideration about themselves, anyone, or anything in the area just fades.
The next time
Very
she sees
similar
that
to what you saw.
Ken, yeah. The next time she sees that, is there a way that she could get in the middle of it? Or divert it?
How would you do so? How would you try?
Likely bodily. Basically
You
sliding
try to
herself
put
between
yourself.
them.
You try to put yourself between them. You see one starting to move toward this woman who's having a conversation with her dormiter. As she is speaking, you see it reach out, and you kind of end up bumping into her a little bit. And she goes, "I'm sorry, what are you?" And you feel as this thing just moves through you. You feel cold for the first time in a long time. As it moves through you, wraps around her, and then vanishes. And she disregards you and turns back to the kindred she was speaking with and just kind of nods and just seems to become compliant to whatever conversation is happening.
Does the shade disappear?
The shade does vanish. It's like when you see it, it reaches out, grabs them, and then seems to pass through and then fade.
Does the ghoul seem to hold any kind of symptom of possession?
With your sight, you don't see anything clinging or lingering or any kind of hint of that nature. It just looks like they've become just dead. They are incredibly apathetic. After a moment, you see the first one, who was just kind of sitting there watching everybody. As you look at them now, they're just staring forward, not responding to anything around them.
Okay.
And at this moment is when you will hear that moan again, but it's much louder.
Does it seem to be coming from above or in the room?
above.
Is there a way to get up to the upper floor?
If you exit through the storm doors, you can go into the area with the steps with the glass dome, and there's a couple of elevators. There are a couple of access points, but you would probably have to find someone to show you them or find some kind of floor map.
Okay. She's going to go see if she can find the source of the groan, because it's either this or just salting along the walls. And if she can just get this thing to leave or negotiate with it in some way, she's going to try.
Okay, yeah. You begin to look for a way to fix the problem. We will pan away from you at the moment. Drake, what have you been doing while she was investigating?
Drake's been keeping close. And mainly just scouring the crowd, just, giving big dog energy.
Okay.
He has no idea what's going on, so he's just like, protect the spooky one.
You are following her around, and it's at this moment you're kind of noticing some things are a little off. You're noticing a lot of the ghouls, a lot of the vessels are starting to kind of just almost like they've gone through several levels of depression and got to the just I don't give a fuck about anything anymore in the span of like 30 minutes. You see some kindred trying to like get their attention. You see one smack one down, trying to get them to respond at all. People are getting frustrated. And every once in a while, you see Victor kind of moving out of, avoiding the crowd for the most part, keeping to the edges of the rooms.
Is there a sense that he's like, does he seem confident in his movements? Kind of a sense of like, he's kind of got an idea what's going on.
Give me what's an insight.
A blood surge. Uh, 3.
He seems to be very deliberate in his movements, but he's always deliberate in his movements. He seems to be very closely watching things happening. Seems suspicious, but hard to say. Victor is a very suspicious fellow.
Then Drake will try to keep him in the peripheral, but his job is to protect Maggie, and with all the ghouls and various controlled kind being really fucking weird, he does not want any of them near her if something changes in that, much as he wants to pursue Victor.
Okay. We will go back to the office. The two of you have been left alone. I will say you notice that it almost seems as if the lights in the room do start to get a little dimmer.
Are there any candles around? Have you seen any?
I don't think so. I don't think they planned for that kind of thing, especially with our proclivity towards burnable things.
There's a hurricane that we're all so concerned of. And we know there'll probably be loss of power. And they didn't think to put candles around.
You see, mostly as you've been through here, the power is out here. Most of the lights are like those little like battery-powered lanterns that you can get like all day at Walmart. That's mostly what's lighting the place up right now.
Yes, I think it was safer they went with a more portable and safe route.
Well, do you think a flame could hurt a spirit?
No, but it could definitely hurt us if big enough. And if we've got any rambunctious people, a candle suddenly becomes problematic.
I'm trying to think of any improvised implements that we could use if the Shadow Man were to come in here.
I think at that point, our best course of action is to be where they're not.
Sure, but if he blocks the door, what do we do in that scenario?
I use my wit and charms to ask him politely to move so we can leave.
Although you are quite charming, I've seen you work your magic on all kinds of people. I don't think this particular one will be susceptible. He's cruel, and he can tell you to do something, and you'll just do it, and you won't be able to fight your way out of it.
Fair enough. Earplugs. Can't make you do something if you can't hear what he wants you to do.
Actually thought of that before. I assumed it was something to do with the eyes, that they projected themselves into you. So good. Do you see are there any tissues? Oh, maybe there's some in my purse. I don't tend to carry them around anymore. Do you have a handkerchief in your pocket?
Fresh out, sadly.
Well, in the worst case, I'll just plug my ears, and you should do the same, and then we could kick him until he moves, and then we can run.
I like this plan. Simple, direct.
Maybe. He's very strong, though.
So I take it that this gentleman did something to someone that left a bit of a lasting impression?
Well, he didn't actually necessarily do much. He he told me to stay still. And his friend, the lamp man, hurt my very good friend. Her name was Noree. She was very dear to me. And then he told me to lay in a box until I met the rabbits, and I did. I couldn't sit up, or I had to do it. So I guess really all he did do was he closed the lid, but yes, it was very bad. Yes. That's why if he were to come in here, we should plug our ears right away, so that he cannot tell us to do anything. Do you think, I know we're not supposed to use powers in here, but do you think, how is that, how do they tell when you use one?
Well, I would think some of them are very obvious. Like, when Maggie does her thing, it's kind of noticeable, a little creepy, but interesting. I'm thinking if they're the less subtle ones, it would be obvious. Matt is going to activate Sense the Unseen.
Sophie is going to activate Mind Mask.
Go ahead and give me intelligence and obfuscate. And what are you trying to accomplish?
I have 4 successes. I am merely preparing in case the Shadow Man were to enter the room.
Well, that's why I was asking. How elaborate are you attempting to make your guys? Like, it's difference in like hiding your emotions and like creating a whole other persona, series of memories, things like that.
More hiding emotions and attempting to try to just more block my mind from being accessible.
Okay. And you used Sense the Unseen.
Yes.
You do see what appears to be... Like, once you do it, it's almost like somebody tinted the room, like somebody just put sunglasses on you, as this room just got darker.
We seem to be okay. Nothing shadowy or man-like that I see, but we'll just stick here.
About that moment, there's a knock on the door.
I am going to go stand around where the door opens, if you don't mind seeing who that is.
Of course. And Matt will make his way over and open the door.
You open the door. You see a taller gentleman wearing very fine clothes. Kind of silvered hair, beard, and brows. And he smiles warmly, sees you. Hello. I saw somebody I was looking for earlier, and I was hoping maybe you might be able to assist me in finding them.
I'm sorry, who is it you're searching for?
Well, that's a bit of a long story. My Childer, I do believe they go by the name Clews. Still?
Clues. No, sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that name.
You see he tries to kind of look into the room past you while you guys are talking. Very well. I won't keep you for long. Last I saw her, it was to, I advised her to check on the rabbits for me, and I was hoping that perhaps she might have gotten to see them. If you will excuse me, then I will stop disturbing you. And he turns and he goes to walk away.
I will, if I happen to come across this individual, ask her to check on the bunnies.
Much obliged. Now, farewell. And he continues walking back toward the crowd.
Evening. And he will shut the door.
Was that the Hat Man?
No.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful news. I'm supposed to meet my grandsire. So to know that it's not the Shadow Man it's very pleasing.
Yes, it was it was a gentleman looking for Edwin.
Oh, good. Ah, what a relief.
Yes. So yes, you are perfectly fine. No shadowy men or atrocious hat-wearing gentleman here tonight.
The bookshelf pops open. Pushes out a little bit, and you see Edwin steps out holding an old crate. And he sees the two of you. I hope you're faring well. He turns and kind of kicks the shelf closed.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
But if you see a man with an orange hat, don't let him into this room.
Well, nobody should have access to this space without speaking to the guards. So there shouldn't be anybody coming up here. Which I have instructed that only the Primogen, or obviously the court themselves, are allowed up and through this area, so you shouldn't have any unwanted guests.
Thank you, Edwin. That is wonderful to hear.
Of course, you have, as the coterie that I have sponsored, you have done a significant amount for myself in the city. Providing you a secure place to hide in a storm shouldn't be too difficult. Mr. Halden, if you would get the door for me.
Absolutely. And he will kind of make sure that Sophie is out of view as he's like opening the door.
He starts to head toward the door, but as he gets about 10 feet from it, he kind of halts. You see him kind of push, like he's trying to step forward.
Problem?
Are you blocked by spirits, Edwin?
I'm terribly sorry. I seem to have lost the function of my feet.
Is it nerves?
His arms drop, and he drops the crate to the ground. One arm raises to the side and snaps backward at the elbow.
Sophie will scream a little.
He doesn't make any sound, but his eyes are wide as his left arm snaps back at the elbow. He is then his knees snap back as he is bent forward and then falls flat. He then flies backward, hit into his case.
Okay, new plan.
And then Edwin is fully flayed before your eyes. And you watch as he is dragged underneath the door of his bookshelf, scraped until there's just flesh that immediately turns to ash.
I was going to ask if that was survivable, but it seems to be dust now. Perhaps we should go find Maggie.
So, yeah, when this starts to go down, Matt is going to grab Sophie and immediately break for the door.
Do you head toward the crowd, or do you head somewhere else?
Towards the crowd.
Okay. You go running, and you see yourself running. You are going to end up passing the individual that came to the door. he had not quite made his way through the corridors yet. As you are sprinting down the hallway, he kind of turns his head and then turns back to look toward you. He's not wearing a hat, but it is the same face that you saw earlier this evening, Sophie.
Sophie is scared, but she just saw Kindred get flayed, so she is continuing to let Matthew hold her arm as they're sprinting.
As you are starting to approach, he seems to clock the urgency of your pace. Has something happened? Do you need help?
Nope, we're good. Thank you.
Oh, yes, Edwin needs help in that room. You should go check it out, please.
And you sprint past him. As you make your way past him, go through and head to the crowd. You notice it's almost like you see the kindred kind of moving about, but you watch as this place was mostly populated by ghouls and vessels that all seem to be standing around like zombies. And at this point, you shift to Maggie. You have made your way upstairs, Drake, with her. You finally get to a place where you find kind of like a roof access point. You don't see anything directly so physical, but you do see what appears to be like a storm cloud hovering over the Elysium. Despite the fact that you're standing in a hurricane at this moment. Powerful winds. You can see debris flying off in the distance. But this thing is stationary.
Got it.
Oh, that's
Maggie
certainly
will-
not a happy cloud.
No, it is not. I may be about to do something stupid. You may need to have to pull me back into the building. Just a moment.
That doesn't
And
tell me
she's-
when to pull you.
I think you'll understand when.
All right.
Maggie will step forward till she is beneath the large cloud and look up at it. And she will activate her sense the unseen. You don't belong here. You should get on back to where you belong. Didn't hear that.
Hunger. It replies in a long, drawn-out tone.
There is nothing here to feed you.
There is plenty.
And none of it is for you. Leave or be removed. And Maggie is just staring up into it, her eyes pitch black, her hair probably slicked down from the rain, her clothes completely soaked through. And she is determined, but underneath it all, there is fear.
I'm going to ask you for a roll.
Mm-hmm.
Resolve and Oblivion.
Can I blood surge?
You can. In this moment, when you call out, you see something in the cloud. You see almost as if shades are simultaneously clambering up to and falling from it at the same time. Some stay. You see a mass. Darker than anything you've ever seen.
I should fix that.
Should you?
I got 6 successes. I fixed it.
Okay. 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 The cloud seems to grow darker, become more dense. You look up and you see new shades appearing in the wind carried by this hurricane, pulled toward this cloud. You hear it moan again, but now elevating to that of like a bellowing shriek. You seem to have disturbed it, but it seems to be intent on clinging to this space. You begin to hear a commotion from inside the building. Upon hearing this commotion, it dawns on you. You've been studying this ritual to help your coterie. But things can be modified. How else did this become discovered to begin with?
Does the Elysium seem like to be the fetter?
Not necessarily. See, what you are witnessing here is not like the typical spirits of the past, those who have are clinging to something and not moving on. This thing is altogether different. This is not a person that can't let go. Nothing along that line. It's not even some of the more difficult ones that you've encountered or may have heard of. This is something both beyond and a part of where you are, and it seems the closest thing that could be bound is the fact that it is connected to these people for something. It seems to be clinging to the people, but not the same as a fetter. These people are not fetters. It's almost something that the people carry that it's after. And when this dawns on you, you begin considering what you've seen. They are taking the emotion from people. The emotion would be the closest thing to a fetter that you can isolate. It's different. It's not normal. This is off. This is not something that your family encounters. But I think it dawns on you, and I'm going to give you a choice in this moment. You have, as you turn and look around trying to glean what's happening, you see in this moment a small shadowy strand clinging to Drake, like it wishes to take something from them. And it dawns on you, if these things don't have fetters, then the things they cling to must be similar in some capacity. So here's the choice. You can either leave and abandon this situation, or you could take a gamble. I will let you make an Wits and Oblivion roll. Just a moment.
I feel like this is gonna end with me stabbing Drake. But,
Wits and Oblivion. If you can beat a 4, I will let you perform cutting ties.
Okay, I'm gonna blood surge again.
Through Drake. And if you beat it by 3 or more, there will be a significant bonus to this. However, I will advise you that if you fail, there could be a significant consequence.
Get the feeling, regardless of the choice that I make here, it will have significant consequence. Spent another willpower. That is 5 successes on Wits and Oblivion.
5 successes. Okay. Drake. This is where you have a pivotal decision. You see Maggie beginning to process this. Do you say anything to Drake before you turn around and perform this ritual?
Yes.
Ceremony? Okay. I will give you a
Maggie
moment
would.
to have a conversation, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Drake, amongst your faith, have you done rituals regarding ritual knives?
I killed my sire with a ritual blade when she was going to diablerize me.
You are the closest equivalent to a fetter that I have right now. I need to stab you.
There's a moment and it just sparks. Try not to kill me.
I don't think I would be capable.
Good answer. Come on, let's get this thing out of here.
Okay. You
Right.
go ahead and perform the ceremony.
I got aroused. Hunger 3. And it's Resolve plus Oblivion for Oblivion ceremonies.
I believe so, yes. Let me double check. Yes, resolve oblivion.
Cool. And I blood surged and I'm at hunger 4 now.
Fantastic.
What was the difficulty again?
You needed a 4. But if you
Okay.
can get a 6 or higher, there will be a significant outcome. But if you failed, there will be a significant consequence.
I got 4.
Okay. So, you throw everything together, you start performing the ritual. You hear the moaning of the entity becoming stronger, almost as if it can tell that you were about to do something. As you're performing the ritual, you begin to see these shades no longer just standing against a wall, they are starting to rise from this roof and begin to close in. You continue performing, getting everything ready, and then finally you stand up, you take the knife, and you plunge it into Drake's chest. Drake, when this happens, you suddenly feel a chill, as if something is trying to move through you. You've been stabbed before, this isn't normal. Give me composure and resolve.
Man, I'm glad I upgraded my resolve. I'm a blood surge. Damn it. That is 5 successes.
Okay. Take 4 superficial damage. This feeling, this painful cold takes hold, and then finally it almost seems to wash away. Almost as if a weight you didn't realize you were carrying gets lifted off your shoulders. You pull the dagger out from his chest, and you see the shades stop in their place. Despite the fact you are in the middle of a hurricane, it is silent for a brief moment. You hear a loud it seems to light up. The dark cloud is gone.
Up goes the weasel. Damn. Good stab.
Thank you, I've never done that before. I'm happy I didn't hit anything particularly vital.
Oh no, I think you nicked the heart pretty good. That's why I said good stab. Ugh.
Thank you. We should
Hey.
We should go inside.
Drake will actually offer his arm. Come on. I got you.
Maggie still kind of tucks the knife somewhere and takes his arm and grips it very tightly.
He makes sure it's firm underneath and starts walking her down.
You should probably cover that up.
He looks at the vest that doesn't completely close ever. I was like, I'm not sure I have a way to do that.
That's You should probably walk ahead of me.
That I can do. He'll still have an arm back, like just to try to support her some.
And she'll kind of wave you off and push you ahead.
You sure?
You have an open wound and I am starving.
Ah.
Oh, are you at
Fair
4
point.
hunger?
Yeah, I'm at 4 hunger.
Oh, yeah, please, give me a frenzy roll.
Awesome.
That's on me. I heard you say 4 earlier. Yep, should have clocked that.
Well, there's no reroll on that.
Okay. Drake, as you are kind of having this old back and forth, it dawns on you that her responses are becoming a little less consistent. Her eyes dilate like a shark's as she stares at the open wound in your chest.
Ah, bitch tits.
Please give me a strength and brawl.
That I can do. I am not risking 4 hunger, so I will not browse. I will spend a willpower, though. I'll take it. That is 5 with a crit.
Okay, yeah. Give me just a moment. My computer is running slow. She lunges forward. What do you do when
He
you
is
got her?
Immediately going to slip and rear naked choke, wrapping his legs around her and bringing her back down if he can. If that's possible.
I mean, sure. You have her restrained at the moment. Is there anything?
Yeah. He's mainly just making sure she can't get to his blood. He does not want her to be bound to him even a little bit. And just gonna try to wait for her to calm down. Just, hey now. It's gonna be all right. Just try to get your senses back, hon.
Okay, for the sake of moving along, go ahead and give me 2 more strength and bar rolls.
Will do. That's a 7 with a crit.
Okay.
It's 5 with a messy crit. Doing so well.
What's your hunger at?
3.
You take the hunger compulsion. Anything that isn't trying to feed, you take a -2.
But has she calmed down at this point?
Has she calmed down? No, she's still rapidly trying to get away. Or trying to get to you, rather. You just have her back to you. But you can feel her clawing at you, trying to get away. Not even trying to, like, break your grasp as much as she's just trying to get away that she can reach your wrist. But you are... As you're, like, struggling with her, she just stabbed you and has been trying to eat you. And you are very hungry. It wouldn't take much. Clearly. What's going on in Drake's head as these thoughts cross his mind?
Well, the first and foremost is, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And then the war is, yeah, it'd be really, really easy. But also, he gave his word. And whatever the Bahari think, he keeps his word. It's really important that he does that to him. If he's going to represent Lilith in the way he thinks he needs to, it's all the more important to keep his word, keep his obligations, and do the things he thinks he needs to do. He will fight the hunger and turn all that rage and fury on himself. He will not be that weak. He has been through worse. He has suffered worse. He has been through torture and pain and everything else, and he is not going to be this weak.
Maggie, high or low?
Hi.
You are restraining yourself as well as Maggie on this roof. You got her in position. You hear the storm picking up, when all of a sudden a torrent of water crashes onto the roof you're on. Like paper picks you both up. You have a choice. You can either attempt to mitigate the damage you're about to receive by letting her go, or continue to hang on to her and ride it out.
He's going to continue to hang on. It's just one more pain.
As you are dragged across thick, broken glass, and dropped from the dome down into the building. Please take another 4 superficial damage.
And not one ag.
As you are falling and crash into the ground, we will hand back into the public room. As you guys are looking about trying to see things, what do you do once you finally make it into the big room where everyone is at?
Matt would have tried to find Maggie and Drake to see where they're at.
You don't see them.
Fantastic. All right. Sophie, I need you to take an unnecessarily deep breath and just listen. That guy we ran past.
Yes, the Shadow Man.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, he was at the door.
You lied to me?
Yes, it's what I do. I'm sorry. I didn't want you panicking. You were already a nervous wreck, and now, we need to find the rest, because after that, I think me lying to you is the least of our concerns.
No, but it is still a concern. You shouldn't do that, especially in stressful situations where having pertinent knowledge of what's on is extremely beneficial to survival.
Yes, and if you feel like doing to me what you did to Drake the other day, that's perfectly fine. I will stand there and take it, but right now, we need to find Maggie and Drake.
Yes, where do you think they could have gone?
Obviously not here.
Do you think they may have gone outside to check the wards or to set new ones?
I don't even know if that's within their skill set, but we need to find his friend. And Matt is going to try. My brain is drawing a blank on the name you gave him.
Which one?
The one that Edwin told Matt to speak to about the vessels.
Hill.
Yes.
Give me intelligence and investigation. And Sophie, give me what's awareness.
I am going to blood surge.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get hungrier.
That is one success.
Okay.
And I think possibly a bestial failure?
Fantastic.
Son of a bitch, and I tried to fix it. Oh, no, wait. Never mind.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
It didn't scroll
So-
down, so I assumed it stayed the same.
We will resolve Sophie's in a moment. Matthew, you do see Cahill. You see he's kind of positioned back, watching everybody kind of move about. He seems to be a little on edge as he's waiting.
He's going to go up to him. We need to talk. And he'll say it kind of low, just to try to whisper, just for him.
What's going on?
Edwin's gone.
Gone where?
Something ended him.
You're saying Edwin's dead?
Yes.
Who did it?
Don't know. Whatever it was quick, efficient, and we couldn't see it.
You saw him die.
He was coming into his office where we were staying with something, and he didn't make it out.
Where are the other two?
Looking for them.
I have to elect the Primogen.
I will try to find our friends. Would you like us to go somewhere away from everyone else?
Edwin had a few of the guys going down and collecting crates of salt. I assume it was for something about Haywood. But I do believe I saw Miss Haywood and Mr. Monahan following a couple of guys upstairs.
Okay.
They stepped out into past the storm door.
All right. Yeah, he was last in his office. There's nothing but left.
I'll let them know. And as he steps, he starts beelining directly toward an individual wearing a very fine, orderly-looking suit with dark hair. Approaches him and they begin talking. Sophie, as you watch Cahill step away from Matthew, you're kind of sitting to the side a little bit. You don't clock it immediately, but the ghoul and the vessel standing next to you off to the side. You don't notice both of them kind of raise their head and both simultaneously look in your direction. The ghoul reaches up and grabs one of the glass chutes from the tray the vessel is holding. And they are going to attempt to shove it into your neck. Because you did not notice, you will not get to make a roll against it. So just a moment. They completely fail. They go to shove this glass chute into your neck, and it just goes right past. Their arm almost rests on your shoulder. They miss terribly. This is clearly not what they are meant to do. You manage to step out of the way, but they immediately begin like they're getting ready to move toward you. And it's this moment that you notice all of the non-kindred begin attacking people, attacking each other, and attacking the kindred, as it turns into an incredibly violent brawl.
Matthew, the kind are revolting. We should We should probably leave and find Maggie. And Sophie will use her purse to she's backing away from the ghouls, but she'll use her purse to try to block any attacks.
You, Matthew, as you notice, she's currently backing away from a couple of ghouls that are trying to shank her with glasses. You notice Cahill and the Primogen, Gabriel, turn, notice what is happening. They look at each other and they step out of the room for a moment.
Our guards have abandoned us. We should leave.
All right, Sophie, let's go. And he will proceed to try to get her upstairs.
Give me... We'll treat this like an escape roll. Give me 3 sets of Dex and Athletics.
All right. I have 2, and then 3, and then a 1 success that might be a bestial failure.
Good.
I got a 3, a 6, and a 3.
All right. So, you immediately begin trying to move through the crowd. The way this is kind of broken up, there is you guys over where Cahill was, which was pretty close to the entrance of the building altogether. Then you have the middle kind of area where the entrance you guys are at are kind of where like a lot of the smaller displays are. Mostly not even smaller displays. This is almost a place where like the gift shop is, pretty much. And this is where a lot of people are kind of navigating. And then you have the corridor where the storm doors are that you're heading to try to get upstairs. As you guys are making your way through kind of a little antique space, you manage to evade. They are very much distracted with each other. You lose the 2 that are behind you in the crowd. As you get about halfway through it, you both also manage to... things are starting to get a little bit more violent. You see some of these kindred picking up and just ripping people to shreds. You see some people having to use disciplines in the moment to try to shut everything down. You see your Primogen kind of directing things in the moment as they quickly kind of began organizing. But it is starting, these ghouls and these vessels, they are becoming incredibly violent. Matthew, at this point, you notice there are a couple that don't seem to be behaving the rest like the rest of them are. It's the same couple that you noticed earlier that were being very aware of everything. They are trying to dip into chaos, and you see them heading toward the entrance. Does this change your path?
He's going to stop Sophie. Go find Maggie.
I'll try my best, but they're not making it easy.
I'm about to make it harder.
What does Matthew do?
He's going to let go of Sophie, and he's going to try to beeline towards them.
Okay. And Sophie, you continue toward the Stormgore?
Sure. But she'll yell back to Matt, I really don't think we should be splitting up.
Yeah, when have our plans ever gone the way they're supposed to?
You split up. These are where you guys did not succeed. So we'll start with Matthew. You are running back in through the crowd. It's becoming more crowded. You occasionally feel something slam into you, or you feel the occasional nick from some broken bottle or what have you. But it's not anything that's affecting you too poorly. You finally break out of the crowd. You finally see the two individuals. They are digging around in what looks to be a trash bin they set up by the door. And you see both of them pull out shotguns and start making their way toward the entrance. One of them clocks you. When you make eye contact, he pulls the gun up on you. You do anything in this moment? Your roll has already been made. This basically just affects how it's applied in the outcome.
He literally would just think to himself, oh, if I survive this, I promise I'll go straight-ish. Would he have time to say anything to them?
Sure. Like I said, you can do anything here. Your roll has been made, but you can possibly sway the effect.
The crowd is crazy behind him, and these two are the only two in the close proximity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I will activate Awe in conjunction with Melpomene to try to lull them.
Can you refresh my memory on that one?
It basically gives me the ability to affect anybody within earshot with Awe or any presence-related abilities.
Go ahead and give me a roll for it. For Awe.
It's, I think, manipulation of presence, right?
Yes.
And I can blood surge.
Yes.
Okay, I don't get hungrier. Five. I spent a will.
What do you say to him?
Now that's not polite. Why don't you put those down?
The guy who pulled the gun up to you kind of hesitates for a moment. Kind of like he's having to reconsider everything for a moment, and then you see the butt of the other guy's shotgun clock him in the head. Louis said don't listen to him. Hold up. A shotgun blast strikes your arm, almost flaying much of the flesh from the elbow down as your arm flings back. Before you have an opportunity to fully get knocked back from that strike, you see the one standing gets shot in the back and falls over as Gabriel and Cahill come back into the room with loaded weapons. The one who got hit in the head scrambles to their feet, busts open the door, and runs. As Cahill and Gabriel begin shooting the kind in this room. Sophie, as you're running, you are just about home free, but then a couple of vessels start getting between you and the door. They startle you. You don't see them coming. They very quickly begin to grab you and start to drag you to the ground. A couple of them pulling up just any sharp object they have, and they begin stabbing you. As you take... Oh, sorry, Matthew. Please take 5 superficial damage. Sophie, you're going to take also 5 superficial damage. As they are stabbing you, pushing you down to the ground. As one of them gets ready to pull back, they kind of climb on top of you. They're getting ready to stab you again. Suddenly, you hear, "Why don't you put those down and go stand over there in the corner?" They all freeze for a moment. They drop what they have. They climb off of you, and they go stand in the corner. And then a hand reaches down.
Sophie isn't taking the hand. She tries to lift herself up, using her arms to push herself away.
Are you okay? You seem to have been a little hurt. As you now get a good look at them, this is the man you saw in the hallway, the one that you saw earlier in the evening, and the one who asked you to sit quietly in a box.
I'm fine. Where's Edwin?
It seems you probably know more than I do.
Right, well, you should help the rest of the kindred here with the kind. So
I'm not interested in the rest of the kindred here, Miss
it
Clews.
here Well, you should be, because the kind are making a mess, and it's not their fault that they've been stripped of their will.
At this point, you can hear the gunfire as you see Cahill and Gabriel are starting to gun them down. And then all of a sudden, you hear a loud wailing sound coming from outside. And you watch all of the remaining kind that were fighting collapse. And he kind of doesn't seem to be a problem so much anymore. And I, as I said, have been looking for you for a while now.
Yes, well, you had an arranged meeting, remember?
I can't happen to see you and we're at Elysium?
It would be improper, as it's not an official, coming to society.
I've already met and dealt with my coming to the city, my dear. I came to see you.
Yes, well, it is better when it's an official meeting with chaperones. And my chaperone is currently not here. She is the whip. She must be doing other duties, but when she is here, then we can meet. So until then, good night, sir.
Are you always so formal with family?
Because it's proper. Now, if you don't mind, I must go check on that man over there who was just shot.
You can't see Matthew from across the crowd. It is very crowded space. There are a lot of people who have been injured, and there's a lot of obstacles between you and him.
Yes, I must check on some of these kind that have been shot. Perhaps they're salvageable.
About that moment, you hear a loud noise come from behind the storm door. You hear somebody grunt out in pain, and what sounds to be someone ferally screaming.
I'm going to attempt to use, I guess, that as a distraction to stand up and run from this kindred.
You stand up and run. He just watches you go. You run to the storm door, push it open. Water comes flooding into the room. Not sniffing it out yet, but you see Drake holding down Maggie, who is clawing. You can see skin ripped out on his arms where she's been digging at them, and he's just holding her in place.
Sophie will run over to them. Drake, what are you doing?
Get back! Get blood! Hurry!
This entire room is covered in blood. The kind were attacking, and
Either blood
some
or
of
a
them
steak, Sophie, no time!
Sophie will look around to see if there's any wooden-like debris.
It's mostly metal and glass.
She will run back toward the main room and try to grab a kind that has already been dealt with by the guards.
You run past him. You run past the door, and he's still standing there and watches you run past, go over to one of the kind, sees you begin trying to drag them. Are you sure you don't need help?
Yes, sir. I am perfectly capable of. Of. Women have been a strong part of the factories, and I can do this. Please just go about your night.
Oh, I'm certain you can. Unfortunately, there's not much more entertaining than what I'm watching now, so I think I'll just stay. And he pushes the door open to let you carry the body through.
I'll try to drag it as close to Maggie and Drake, but trying not to get actually near Maggie. I couldn't find any wood, but I hope this will do. Sorry.
A fresh body will work, right?
Yeah, should be. If they haven't lost any blood, they should have plenty to get her to 0.
He literally just rolls her over onto the body. He ain't letting go until he's certain.
She's still clawing at you for a moment, but in the moment of like being presented with something more accessible, grabs and latches onto it and begins feeding. You watch as the person kind of still unconscious for a moment, but then finally begins kind of batting with their arms slowly, but it's by the time they are conscious enough to notice what's happening, they're already too weak as they just kind of fall and stop moving. And then Maggie, things seem to clear. You're no longer on the roof. The floor is covered in water and glass, and Drake has been holding on to you fiercely.
Was she cognizant of what happened, or did she just black out?
For the most part, you are aware of it's kind of like a weird blur. You do realize what happened, and considering the evidence around you, the body that you clearly just finished eating. Yeah.
There's a very light pat. Then she realizes how clawed up she has his arms, and just very light tap with the tip of her finger.
Drake will do a very human inhale before letting go and just flopping beside her. Oh, thank you, Miss Clews. If you could find another one for me, I'd be very appreciative.
I'll assist you,
It's okay.
Sophie.
That was kind of my fault.
No, that was...
Go back in there. Why don't we just
Let's
leave?
find something for... Yeah. I fixed it.
That you did.
That's
That you
wonderful.
did.
I'm so proud of you, Maggie. That's really that's great.
Drake is very injured.
I'll be fine. Just get me through a torpor, and I'll generally... Okay. And he'll sit up. Hungry as shit, though.
Where is, Matthew?
Oh well, he ran toward the front after. I'm not really sure. He said that he had to go, and he told me to find you, which I've found all now. So we could go to him or leave.
We can go find him. And we can, see about reporting into Edwin. There is. Heard some commotion downstairs.
About that, Edwin unfortunately has, well, he, see, can spirits break bones?
It depends.
Well, you see, all of his appendages were broken one at a time, and then he was, pinned against the shelf, and then all of his skin was ripped from him, and then he turned to ash.
Edwin is dead.
It was extremely dissettling. His clothing is still there, though. Is there a way to bring him back if he's attached to his clothing?
I'm going to go find Matthew. Drake, we need to get off the roof.
Also,
Get
We
further
are
into
off the roof.
building.
We are
Oh.
off the roof.
Oh. We need to get further into the building.
He'll look at his arms. Yeah, I might start a frenzy again if I walk in there.
We need to get you something to eat.
Oh, and Drake, I do apologize. There's quite a bit of blood on your saxophone.
It's fine. I can buy a new one. The main thing is that all that hubbub was stopped, and he'll roll his shoulders. And Maggie's all right.
Yes, well, I suppose we should check on Matthew. It was quite disastrous out there. The kind were just attacking.
Drake will
Maggie
just
start
take.
heading down.
Yeah, Drake will just quickly rip off various pieces of clothing for the kind from the dead kind and just try to cover as much of the blood on him as possible.
As you guys step back into kind of the main area where people were, you see most of the kindred have been directed elsewhere. You see mostly just Elysium Guard, Cahill, and Gabriel kind of overseeing the cleanup. You see a pile of dead kind kind of pushed to one side of the room, and you see a bunch of others who have been bound and set on the other that haven't been killed. After things are going, Cahill kind of nods his head, and you see Gabriel turn and head down the corridor to where Edwin's office is. We're going to back up just a moment. Matthew. Everything seems to, by the time you've gotten up and kind of collected yourself, you see the bone in your forearm as your arm kind of just hangs uselessly. You turn and look about. The remaining people standing drop. You see Gabriel and Cahill kill a couple more before kind of stopping for a moment to assess the situation. Watching everything. Gabriel immediately starts telling people to head downstairs into the bunker. And begins guiding people away. What does Matthew do as everything begins to settle? There's a dead hunter a few feet from you. And a lot of other dead people in the room.
He's going to the two that took shots at him are two of the ones they're dead now, right? They're gone.
One bolted from the door, the other one got shot and is on the ground.
Okay. he's gonna walk over to that one and kind of kneel down. I don't know what in the hell you're thinking, but I swear to God, Louis, I will find you. And he will try to find something to wrap his arm in.
About that moment, as you kind of clean yourself up, your coterie finds you. You see him. He seems fine, but there is a very bloody bandage around his arm.
Hey, pretty boy. Seems we have matching wounds, eh?
On the outside.
Bane's a great teacher.
Everybody doing okay?
I'm a bit
Fix the problem.
up, but it's fine.
Any idea what the hell this was all about?
Angry clouds.
Shades conglomerating into a cloud above the Elysium, forming a rather nasty conglomeration of wraiths. I think it's gone for now.
Should have seen her. She stabbed the cloud by stabbing me.
Oh. Damn. Sorry I missed it.
Also, she's a firecracker when she needs to be.
Maggie will look down and away.
Drake will walk over. Hey, shit happens. Besides, you gave me quite a lesson. It's always to someone like me, it's a boon to be challenged. To make sure you are safe, hold back my hunger, hold back compulsion, and then hold someone that I sort of protect no matter what. As part of my job, and to uphold my word. You gave me plenty as payment for your frenzy.
Sorry, were you in the cloud?
I went up, but I wasn't in the cloud. I was below it.
But you stabbed Drake, and therefore stabbed the cloud. Was he in the cloud?
You know how I called you a fetter?
Yes, at first I thought you called me something else, and I was about to be very offended.
Drake was similar to a fetter in this situation. Maggie will look over to Matthew. Edwin?
Gone.
What, just like that?
It was a little more horrific, but
Sophie gave a gratuitous description
Well, it's important to have all the information when
Details are always
relaying. Yes, because otherwise people could make assumptions based on wrong information.
Yeah, that one's
Well,
towards.
hopefully we won't have too much of a repeat of that. As you turn around, you see Gabriel.
Yeah. Hey,
Apologies
Primogen.
for interrupting. But it does seem that your particular group seems to be in the middle of all of this. And I would like to have a word.
Hey, sounds good to me.
If you will follow me downstairs, we will put you in a room and you will wait until we have the opportunity to interrogate. Is this acceptable?
Well, I hate to impose, but could I get a blood bag?
That may be arranged.
Appreciate it.
Will you follow me?
Yes.
Lead the way.
Gratitude. He turns and he begins walking down a corridor. He takes you down into the bunker you have been once, maybe twice before. They place you in a room. There are guards stationed outside. It is a metal room. Chairs enough for you to sit. And a table. And it is quiet. After a moment, the door opens. As Gabriel and the sheriff step into the room, and they set down a bloody saxophone. We need to have a talk. And that is where we'll end tonight's session. Well, yeah, that is where we end tonight's session. Thank you very much for tagging along. We will see you next time.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. Bloody Strings is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Darkback. The storyteller for Bloody Strings is Devlin. Tonight's characters were voiced by Kyrie, Noree, Lekar, Truckexe, Kendall, and MissyMew. Visit our website at stpetbynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.